Jonathan Mark. In Going Clear, Marty Rathman said that he thought that Miscavige, in a misguided way, actually believed in Scientology. What is your opinion? Well, Marty Rathman knew David Miscavige and worked side by side with him for many years, so far be it from me to contradict him, but I'm going to contradict him because I don't believe, from all the indications I can see as a more objective observer, that Miscavige truly believes in Scientology. The indications that tell me that are, one of the biggest ones is that Miscavige himself doesn't do Scientology. He is surrounded by Scientology. He lives in the world of Scientology, and yet he doesn't practice it. He certainly doesn't practice it in terms of trying to improve conditions around him or with the people around him, because he's, by all reports and accounts, an extremely intolerant, rude, insensitive man. That's how he is presented behind the scenes. And that's not Scientology. That's not following the principles of Scientology. He doesn't do Scientology, meaning he doesn't go into session. He doesn't get audited on Scientology processes. He doesn't train as a Scientologist. He's not a trained auditor. I think the story is that when he was a kid, when he was like 12 or 13 years old, he hit a pre-clear. That's a documented story that is told by Karen de la Carriere. And that he did not complete his auditor training and hasn't done any further training since then. So he might be an expert on it in terms of having read about it and lived it and that sort of thing, but he doesn't actually partake in it. And the other indicator that tells me that he is not a true believer is he doesn't get the Sea Org to do Scientology. He doesn't get the Sea Org members to go through the auditing and the training and really put it there that they need to make it to the OT levels. In Scientology, the OT levels are put there by Hubbard as the only thing that is going to salvage the universe. They're the only things that bring lasting life and happiness and real spiritual freedom. So wouldn't it make sense that every single Sea Org member, the core group of Scientology, and the group that David Miscavige is the head of, wouldn't it make sense that that group would be the first in line to do the OT levels, to get the OT powers and abilities and free their end theta, all their past trauma and stress and everything else that's existed for them for trillions and trillions of years? Wouldn't it make sense that the Sea Org would be the guys you'd want to have be the most able and the most aware and the most spiritually conscious, right? And also the most sold on what Scientology is actually all about, because they would know all the intimate secrets and truths that Hubbard had discovered. Instead, the Sea Org are the last people in line to get any auditing or training in Scientology. And that's a direct reflection of David Miscavige, because that's the way he runs the show. He runs that ship that way, right? Because what he wants is what Scientology does. They've been on a roll for 10 years now, 10 plus years, to do these ideal orgs and do all this fundraising and sell all these books and all that. That's him. That all comes from him. So if he wanted everybody in the Sea Org to go up to the highest levels of Scientology, they'd be there. And the fact that they're not, the very, very rare exception, I can literally count on one hand the number of Sea Org members I saw in the 17 years that I was involved in that who actually made it as Sea Org members to the OT levels, right? One hand. So how does that work, right? How is that demonstration of being a Scientologist or being a true believer in Scientology if you're not even pushing your own people to do it? So I don't think that that in his own bumbling, fumbling way or misguided way that he is actually a believer in Scientology. I think he knows that it doesn't work. I think he is fully aware of the fact that it's all a big con, and I think he's just running with it because it serves his interest in terms of him getting money and, and power. He just certainly doesn't have any problem with, getting people to do what he wants them to do. So that's my take on that.